all right, we joked around when we were discussing the possibility of Phil Jackson becoming a member of the New York Knicks. What if he came up to you and said, when I hire my new coach, I'm going to want you as an assistant. I like what you're about. I like your acumen as a basketball guy. I want you at the right hand of whoever I hire. Would you consider it?
Yeah, I'd consider it. Jackson asked me anything, man. There's a close bond there, so if he had faith in me and wanted me to, consider taking that job, I'd definitely listen, yeah.
Okay, now, can he have any influence on this current Knick team between now and the end of the season?
I think he already has. I think the last game you saw a little more intense team out there, a more focused team, sharing and carrying the basketball, working diligently on the defense because they knew Jackson was in the crowd. So I think instantaneously he's had an impact on the entire organization, giving us credibility as well as inspiring the players.
Do you think there's anything Mike Woodson can do to save his job?
Probably we would have to get this team into the playoffs and play well. I'm sure he's being judged on that right now. I mean, Phil likes his pedigree. He knows he's been a good coach and what he did for the team last year. So I'm sure he's taken all of that into consideration.
Now, do you have to take what's happening here, Walt, if you're Phil Jackson or any executive in the NBA, with a grain of salt, considering that for 60-plus games, this team seemed to be going nowhere, no cohesion, no chemistry whatsoever. They seem to have a lot of quit in them. And then all of a sudden, in the last 3 weeks of the season, it comes together. Can that be fool's gold? Is that something that you have to take into consideration when analyzing these last 3 weeks?
No, when I analyze the team, I think there's a lot there. And they just weren't getting it out of the players, especially on the defensive end. So when you look at the Eastern Conference, as we've been alluding to all year, it's not that tough. Come on. I mean, the Pacers are the best team in there along with Miami, and they gave them everything they wanted, came away with a victory. I don't think that was an aberration as we played the Pacers well. But sometimes when you have a team that's considered mediocre, they get up for the good teams, and then they languish against the lesser teams. So, right tonight, that's where the Sixers are. They're going to get up for the Knicks because they want to play the spoiler role and all of that. But I think the Knicks have enough talent, even without acquiring any players next year, to compete in this league and make the playoffs.
All right, so you saw Indiana. The Knicks have played them very tough in 2 of the 3 games that they played against them this year. We know the history that the Knicks have against the Heat. If they complete this Hail Mary, Walt, and they get themselves in the playoffs, would you give them a chance against Indiana or Miami?
I like Miami because of the matchups. This league is all about matchups. The Pacers historically have been too physical for us with Hibbert and West and George. They've dominated the glass, and the Knicks have not competed well against them as we saw last season. Whereas with Miami, they're not a formidable team in the paint. They don't have a big guy that can dominate. So it's more of a running gun style that the Knicks like to play. And I think Melo sometimes can neutralize James. A lot of times they're guarding each other, so Melo can kind of neutralize him. The key to Miami this season is Wade. If Wade is not healthy, then I think they're very beatable.
Well, it's something. If this team can all of a sudden bring it together, you just wonder why it took so long. I mean, that would frustrate me if I'm a Knicks fan. As excited as I would be about what this team is doing and the possibility of making the playoffs, if they could have turned this on a month before, maybe they're a 6th seed, maybe they're competing for the division and avoiding Miami and Indiana altogether in the first round. Wouldn't that frustrate you as a coach or an executive or even an announcer of the team that they flipped the switch and maybe did it too late?
Yeah, as an announcer, I kept saying, what if? During this entire winning streak, what if? What if these guys play this way all the time? Why are they turning it around now? A lot of times, when the pressure is off teams done, they start to compete. So maybe at that point the Knicks felt no pressure, so then all of a sudden they go on this winning streak. But right now there's pressure on them. Phil Jackson's around. Other teams are going to be waiting for them. So I think we're going to see the real Knicks the rest of the season now.
Melo, any kind of different feel about him coming back at all just because Phil is here?
I thought he was going to come back all along.
Okay.
Melo's a very good businessman. So he'd leave a lot of money on the table if he leaves New York. Plus, if he goes somewhere else, it's not guaranteed he's going to win a championship there. And he has to know Mr. Dolan, what he's done now and bringing in Jackson. They're going to try to bring in the right players. So if Melo languishes for one more year, we say the Knicks will be out from under those caps, 2015, when they'll have money to try to acquire players. So just one more season, I think he should be willing to sacrifice that for this team to get better. I know he likes New York. He likes what he's done here and his legacy and everything. And I think, he's going to stay around and try to finish the job.